Welcome to Island Outdoors 1. Today I'd like to share with you a knife from the American Blade Company, the AB-21 Trapper. So it's a beautiful summer day, this July 26, 2017, and it's a fine day to do a video for you on this knife. It's the American Blade AB-21 Trapper, and as far as I can tell, the American Blade knives were produced for 1 year, 1984, and they were manufactured in Seki, Japan. This model is the AB-21 Trapper, but I have seen pictures of other models of American Blade knives. Lockbacks and single blades and a small variety of them, I guess. I'm not sure how many different patterns they had, but they made them for 1 year. It's kind of ironic they were made in Japan for having the American Blade company name on them. Kind of leads you to believe they were made in America, but that's not the case. From what I can gather, the American Blade Knife Company was started by Bob Ernst and Dan Maldit, both formerly with Imperial Knife Company, also known as Schrade Cutlery, and Jim Parker of Parker Cutlery. And something happened between the two and Parker, and the company closed. And I don't know the whole story on what the problem was between the three, but there was something there, and if you know more about that, I'd love to hear it in a comment below. This is a medium-sized trapper pattern, and it has bone handles with a light brown dye and etched insignia on the handle. It's a barehead design with a nickel silver bolster and brass lanyard hole on the opposite end. It has solid brass liners and pins. It has a clip point blade and a spey blade, and both of the blades appear to be flat ground. They have nail nicks, and these two knives have half stops, so that's a nice extra feature on them. They have the American Blade Chattanooga, Tennessee tang stamp on the front of the blade and AB-21 Japan stamp on the back of the blades. And the blades appear to be stainless steel, and you can still find these fairly cheap on eBay if you search for them. Back out here. I have two that are almost identical to show you. And it's not a full-size trapper, but it is fairly thick, so it's a nice heavy-duty style knife. And you can see here's our two blades folded in there. And for a cheaper knife, it's pretty nice, actually. Has nickel silver square bolsters on one end and a barehead design, which means no bolster on the other end, with a lanyard hole, brass lined. And I'm not sure if that's the American Blade Company logo or if that's an advertiser logo. Not 100% sure on that, but you can see the brass pin construction. And on this model, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, you can see there's a crack in the bone right by the tip of my fingernail there, and that's usually a place, if they're going to have a crack, it's usually underneath these center pins on the scales. And sometimes a little flex or stress right there will make a crack. So it's unfortunate it has a crack, but Again, this isn't a real expensive knife. You can see some of the fit and finish isn't 100%. There's some gap between the brass liner and this scale on the mark side here, but it's flush where it meets the bolsters, where it transitions to the bolsters. So I almost believe that it was assembled that way from the factory. But we have solid brass liners on both sides of our springs, and that part of the bone is just a little void that was originally there from the factory. So fit and finish wasn't 100%, but again, a relatively decent knife. And these two knives are both used. And here's our back side, and the nail neck to the spey blade on this knife is on the back side, where sometimes on other trapper patterns the nail necks are on the same side. But let's take a look at the main blade for you. It is a clip point blade, and it appears to be flat ground, although I read somewhere that American blade knives were hollow ground, but it looks flat to me. I could be wrong. It might be a slight hollow grind. It's stainless steel blades on these knives, and they do have half stops, which generally you find those on higher end knives, so that's a nice added feature, and it's pretty much a safety feature. In case your knife folds, it has one more chance to stop before it bites you, so that's nice. Our secondary blade on a trapper is always a spey blade, and again, appears to be full flat ground with a nice nail neck, and it has the American Blade Company eagle etch on it, registered trademark. And he looks like a Bowie knife in his claws, but nice thick spey blade. And I'll show you the tang stamp on the front blade. There you go. American Blade, Chattanooga, Tennessee. So at first glance you believe that this is a made in America knife, but if we look on the reverse or the back side, you can see it's model AB-21, and right below that, finely etched, it says Japan. And that was Seki, Japan, Seki City, I believe, which is a famous Japanese cutlery city, and they do make fine knives over there. So for back in 1984, this was a nice inexpensive model you could pick up, and real bone handle covers, so that's nice. You can see it has a light brownish dye on the bone on the back side. Just a nice trapper pattern, and it's kind of short, but it's stout. It's wide, and makes it a very capable knife. It has very stiff springs on it, and if I can get that out of the background, if you notice a slight swell in the handle in this area, it kind of goes up and then back down here, and that's called a center swell, and that's kind of classic with the trapper pattern, kind of your standard trapper pattern design. They have a swell in the middle, and it has two pins in that area. One's a cover pin, and the other is the center pin for the springs. It actually goes through the springs. And just a very nice trapper pattern. This one is identical except for the fact that underneath the AB-21 on this, it does not say Japan. So if you had bought this knife, you would believe it was made right in Chattanooga, Tennessee, but that's actually not the case. It was Seki, Japan. And this model has a little more wear on the blades. You can see some scratching there, but besides that, it's identical to the one below here on the stump. Just a nice trapper pattern, and if you're looking for a cheap, stout little trapper, like I said, you can still find these pretty reasonable on eBay, and they're just a stainless steel. I don't think there's anything special about the blade steel on this, but it was made in Japan. Some people really like the Seki City, Japan blades. So I hope you liked the video. Something different. The AB-21 from American Blade Company. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.